Hello and welcome to Lansdowne Roar, Irish football's most interactive podcast. David Dunn here, flying solo today. No Martin. We did try an episode earlier on, however, there was a technical issue and we couldn't release it, so here I am. So it's a bit of a win-win situation, really, isn't it? I also want to feed into the paranoia that Martin feels he's being phased out by Connor. It's kind of funny. But anyway, before we get started, the big story this morning. Just to remind you guys, if you just hit that subscribe button, scan that QR code and head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter. And if you want opinion, go over to lansdowneroar.ie. That is lansdowneroar.ie. Right, let's get into it. The big stories we're going to be talking about today. The biggest one, Robbie Keane, he is leaving Maccabi Tel Aviv. That was broken last night. We're going to talk about that first. Also, Roy Keane, justice for Roy. Martin was very happy with this. The guy who assaulted him has been found guilty. We'll talk a bit more about that. And plus, our Irish football fans, just a tad unrealistic with their expectations. We just got a win over a team that's, first of all, not Gibraltar, and also a very good side in Hungary. So, should we be happy? But we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk a little bit about Shane Duffy and Matt Doherty's social media comments and posts as well. So a very interesting show for you lined up, and let's get into it. Let's get straight into the Robbie Keane story, which broke last night in the Irish Independent. Dan McDonald, Mark Ty broke it. You can see here the graphic. If you are watching if you're listening on a YouTube, on our podcast feed here, I've got a picture up here of Robbie Keane when he was back from when he was in Wales, Maccabi Tel Aviv manager. His quote is, "I'm very proud of everything we have achieved." And then it says, "Robbie Keane's time as Maccabi Tel Aviv boss is over." That is not a quote, that last part. He doesn't talk about himself in the third person, or I hope anyway. So, yes, he controversially joined at the start of last season. People in Ireland weren't happy about that. We know the whole history. There were Palestine and Ireland and Israel. And then basically everything went up to 100, really, on the intense scale, because what happened in October. And of course, at the moment, the IDF are blowing the shit out of Palestine. And yeah, that's just kind of added basically proverbial chip and fire. The pot of water with the chip and fire. And if you ever see that, it's not good. And that's what's kind of happened to Robbie Keane's reputation in Ireland. Now, we put the story on the Facebook page this morning, and it's just all very anti-Robbie Keane stuff, unfortunately. But that's kind of what happens when you take a job in Israel, especially during the current climate. He clearly didn't read the room, and his obsession with becoming a manager preceded his obsession with being liked in Ireland, which is unfortunate because he is one of Irish football's iconic figures, or he should be. He shouldn't be polarizing. He should be lauded for his achievements. Record goal scorer, record caps holder. The goal we're going to talk about later on, which was the equaliser against Germany. It was this week back in 2002, the World Cup. Fantastic. That's what we should remember, Robbie Keane. The goal against Holland. The two goals against Holland, the header in Amsterdam in 2000, and also the one that he scored in 2004, which was actually on the same day when he scored the equaliser against Germany, where he just ran the length, pretty much the length of the field, and then buried one pass from about 18 yards out against Evan van der Sar. That's the Robbie Keane we should be talking about, but we won't be talking about that because of poor decisions. One of them, obviously, being the holding on to 250 grand salary for doing nothing for the FAI, a cash-strapped FAI. Some people said, okay, well, that's his right to, which it was, by the way. He did nothing illegal. However, people thought, well, you don't need the money. They're in serious trouble here. And okay, they may have, you may have been sort of like had the dirty done on you, for want of a better phrase. However, do the right thing, give back the money, and people will respect you in the long run. You're a long time retired. And then he's just sort of encased. So people were already against him anyway. And then, of course, he's just dumped that in cement by going to Israel. And then, of course, the whole thing happening with the IDF at the moment, the situation there, excuse me, that's just really, really fanned the flames there. It's unfortunate, but you can't really have much sympathy for Robbie Keane. He has made these decisions, these poor decisions. Will he ever become Ireland manager? We don't know. Obviously now, that's some people might put two and two together, thinking, oh, maybe he's leaving there to take over Ireland because Ireland needs a manager. And no, I would. Nothing surprises me with the FAI, especially over the last while. But I'd imagine no, even they wouldn't hire Robbie Keane, because right now Robbie Keane, and it shouldn't be this way, is almost toxic in Irish football circles. And time needs to pass there, and achievements need to be achieved in anywhere that's not Israel for him to be considered for the Ireland job. In my role, I do think there's a way back for him. I think it's very unfortunate, but as I said, he has done this to himself, which baffles the mind. But I mean, we'll see where he's going to go. Rumor has it he is looking for a job in England. We don't know. Maybe he's got something lined up. I mean, look, if Wayne Rooney can get 2 championship jobs on the bounce, and he has done nothing as a manager, and even with his best mate Gary Neville doing everything possible to get him a job as part of the overlap team, which is just an old boys network at the moment. Surely Robbie Keane can get a job in England, and his standing won't be hurt at all in England for taking a job in Israel, because it's a whole different political situation over here than it is in Ireland. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, best of luck to him. I guess we'll see where he's off after. I reckon it'll be a League One team or a Championship side maybe. But as I said, if Wayne can get a job over there as a Championship manager, then why can't Robbie Keane? Next one we're going to talk about, speaking of Keanes, and it's justice for Keane. Roy Keane, that is. Yes, Andrew, what's his name? I've got it here. Scott Law. I was going to say another name there, because I do know somebody called Law, surname Law. But Scott Law was found guilty of assaulting Roy Keane, a headbutt, of course. And he is served to 80 hours of community service and will serve a 3-year footballing barring order. And he has to pay some punitive damages as well. Legal costs £650 plus a victim surcharge of £114. There's actually a big mugshot of him there on the BBC website, and you can see his nose or his headbutt where he's nutted Roy Keane. Well, like I said, I don't have to say allegedly anymore because he got convicted. Hey, yeah, I mean, ridiculous situation. Say what you want about Roy Keane. Look, if somebody's going around and people want football stars to be accessible. Roy Keane's a massive star. Whether you like him, another polarizing Keane, whether you love him or hate him, fabulous player. Did great things in the Ireland shirt, did some really stupid things in the Ireland shirt as well. But he's a footballing legend, whatever way you slice it. And we're always saying we want these guys to be accessible. And yet you have this idiot going along and starting to fight with Roy Keane. Now he says banter got out of control, so he decided to twat Roy Keane. So yeah, just utterly ridiculous carry on at all, and the guy deserves it. I mean, we did show some CCTV footage here where he claimed that he was elbowed by Roy Keane, but you can see Roy Keane's got a bag in his hand and he's trying to get the guy, and the judge just didn't buy the defendant's excuse, and nor should he. So there you go. 3-year banning order for Mr. Scott Law, who fell foul of the law. There you go. Worst pun ever. So just moving back to Hungary briefly. 2-1 win, of course. John O'Shea's first win as Republic of Ireland manager, albeit interim. This man here, Troy Parrott, got the last-minute equaliser, broke away, and finished with the scruffiest finish you'll ever see. But they all count. And that man, what a vein of form he's on at the moment. But just to break down a couple of things, a lot of negativity still. People moaning about the starting 11, saying, how can he pick someone like Shane Duffy? He's not the man for the job. John O'Shea. Some people are saying give him the job. I don't know. It's a bit mad. Like, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't with some Irish fans, some sections of the Irish supporters. Very fickle. Look, at the end of the day, we've beaten a team that's not Gibraltar, so that's a positive. A very good side with Hungary. And I think it's a huge morale boosting win for the team. Maybe not for the manager so much, because for John O'Shea, because he might not be the manager in September. I won't get started on that. But look, it's a win. It wasn't pretty. The performance was dreadful. But you got to remember, you got some lads playing for Ireland in that game that hadn't kicked the ball for a month. Will Smallbone was man of the match. He played in the championship playoff against Leeds. So, he was clearly still match fit. A lot of players weren't. Also, he had a hungry team. Not want to take anything away from the victory, but he had a hungry team who doesn't want to get injured before the Euros. And I did say this beforehand, it'd just be a very pedestrian-paced game, which it was. And it was a bit naughty. Hungary were a little bit naughty with some of the challenges, and Coleman was doing what he was doing, and he was sticking up for his players, as he always does as a captain, because he is a leader. But, it was played more like a charity exhibition, wasn't it, pace? But look, it's still a win. And hopefully we can carry that momentum into the next game against Portugal. But just some of the stuff was ridiculous. Like people moaning about Parrott not squaring it to Smollett. You can see in the picture there. Smollett was offside and he scored. Roy Parrott scored. What's the problem? If he missed, I'd go, yeah, fair enough. But Smollett was still offside. Just incredible that people, they just want to find any reason to moan about it. Like, let's look, we've looked at the honest side of the arguments there. You're complaining about stuff like that. It's just a bit ridiculous. Another thing as well was obviously the team selection. Although I do agree with this, why Shane Duffy was in that starting 11, I do not know. He was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Matt Doherty, I mean, whoever comes in, the next manager, I think they need to blood in Festi Ebicelli quickly, or a right wing back quickly, because Matt Doherty has not been doing it for Ireland. He's never really done it for Ireland. I think he's had literally a couple of games. I think it was that left wing back as well. Was against Portugal in Faro, where he was really good. He's never played a decent game as a right wing back. But the next manager, that's a problem. They were so bad, and they shouldn't have been anywhere near that team. And to be fair, people put the boot into John O'Shea about that. Fair enough. But then he took action. To be fair to the manager, he took action at half time. Took them both off, him and Matt Doherty. They were dreadful. Brought on Jacob Bryan, Liam Scales. O'Brien was okay. Liam Scales was still very rust, end of season as well. They did Matt Doherty took to social media on Instagram. You can see there, 45 my best, and he's got the smiley face upside down, which means distress normally. And Shane Duffy goes the same. Now, some people I initially thought, are you actually complaining about being taken off? And no, you look at it and you go, no, he's kind of going, yeah, we weren't very good. And of course, on Tuesday, we will be live over in Portugal for what could be John O'Shea's last game of charge of the boys of green, but I kind of doubt that. And it could actually be Ronaldo's last game in a Portugal shirt on home soil, even though he's playing over in Saudi Arabia at the moment. But, he is Ronaldo, to be fair. I'm flying over there on the Monday. And of course, we will actually be doing a live preview on the Monday. Just don't know the times yet. It'll be in the evening time because haven't been sent the schedule from the FAI yet, which they get from the Portuguese FA of what we're doing. And I'll go to the press conference, I hope. And then we'll head back to the hotel and we'll do a live preview. And can't wait for that. And hopefully then, of course, the match day itself, we will have the pre-game and we'll have the post-match. I'm hoping Connor's going to be with me anyway. But Martin will be over there as well. He's actually flying in the morning of the game. Mr. Bandwagon himself, he saw the win. He went, you know what? I want a bit of that. That's a bandwagon. I'm jumping on top of that. So there you go. And you can tell him I said that as well, by the way. I'm sure he'd be listening. But he will be over there. If you see him, he will be talking to some of the Raw faithful and, some Ireland fans as well to get their take on it as well. So we will be quite busy over in Portugal next week, and do tune in for that because we had a fantastic time on Tuesday over on Twitter. We were broadcasting on Republic of Ireland Player Tracker, which was fantastic for us, and obviously the 2 Twitter channels that we have and the Facebook, and we have some fantastic numbers. So amazing support as always, and we're very grateful for that. Just before I go, I want to finish on a positive note, I suppose. And the man that we were kind of like not putting the boot in, he sort of did that himself. But Mr. Robbie Keane, this week, back in the day, back in 2002, actually, was when he scored the equaliser against Germany in the World Cup, the last minute equaliser. And actually, Claudine commented on our post here, as you can see. For the day that's in it, good luck to my son Robert sitting his junior cert English paper today. I too was sitting my leaving cert paper when this happened. Fair play to Claudine. I wasn't. I dropped out. Actually, I think the English exam was on, And long story, I had a bit of a mad time at school, a bit of a rebel. And I remember I got up to the television. It was in my mate Frank's house. And, 1-0 down. I thought, nah, just switch it off. Put my hand on the telly, just switch it off, Frank. It's not going to happen. And that was when Steve Finnan launched a rocket over the top. And probably poor choice of words there. He launched the long ball over the top. Niall Quinn flicked it over, and Robbie Keane just went in, scored. The first goal against Oliver Kahn in that tournament, and actually the last one until the final. Only 2 players scored against him. 2 players, 3 goals against Oliver Kahn. Incredible stuff. But there you have it. A bit of retro there. And we will be coming up with a retro series soon. We're just not sure what way we're going to do it, but that is in the pipework. We do get asked about that a lot. We will be back doing that. So anyway, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Hopefully I haven't been too boring on my own here. Yet again, please follow the socials, guys. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button, scan that QR code, and head over to Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter. And also, we will be live over in Portugal. So do stay tuned and keep an eye on the socials. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Thank you. Good night. God bless. And come on, you boys in green.